Hi, my name is Eric. I'm 33 years old, and I think I've just lived through the worst kind of betrayal a man can experience. No, not just a cheating wife. That would have been enough. But try this: a cheating wife, and a brother who said he was looking out for me, who said I deserved better, and then went behind my back and proved he didn't mean a word. It started slow, like these things always do. You don't wake up one day and think, ah, yes, my world is about to implode. It creeps in the little things. A hesitation here, a too long silence there, the way your wife starts guarding her phone like it's a nuclear code. But let me start at the beginning. I've been married to Marissa for 5 years. We met at a college alumni event. She was bold, sarcastic, the kind of woman who didn't let a guy like me get away with saying something dumb. I loved that about her, still do honestly, and that's the messed up part. My brother, Nate, is 2 years younger than me. He's always been the charming one, the golden boy, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and make everyone laugh within 5 minutes. Growing up, he was the one who made trouble and got away with it, while I played the role of the responsible older sibling. But we were close, real close. He was my best man at our wedding. He gave a speech that made my mom cry and had the whole room laughing, said, and I quote, "Eric's the kind of guy who'll take a bullet for you. Just make sure you're not the one holding the gun." I remember Marissa laughing. She was wearing that pale blue dress she picked out herself. I remember thinking, I'm the luckiest guy alive. Nate always had a chaotic life, jumping from job to job, never really settling down. After his third breakup in a year, I told him he could crash at our place for a few weeks to figure things out. Marissa was hesitant, not because she didn't like him, but because, in her words, Nate is like inviting a tornado to sleep in your guest room. She wasn't wrong, but I insisted. He's my brother. He moved in with us in late September. I work in IT. Long hours, boring stuff. Marissa is a freelance copywriter, works from home. Nate, at that point, between jobs again, which meant he and Marissa spent a lot of time together. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, yeah, she laughed a little too hard at his jokes. He got a little too comfortable walking around in his boxers, but I chalked it up to family. We were all adults, right? Then came the subtle shifts. She stopped texting me during the day, stopped waiting up for me when I got home late, started locking her phone. One time, I reached for it to check the time, and she snapped, "That's mine," like I was some stranger. I confronted her once, jokingly. Said, "You and Nate seem to be getting along better than we do." She rolled her eyes. "Don't be insecure, Eric." And Nate, he pulled me aside a few days later, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Man, I don't know what's going on with you two, but you deserve better. You really do." It was the way he said it, not sympathetic, almost smug. I remember laughing bitterly. "Thanks, I guess." He just smiled. "Just saying, you work your ass off. She should see that." Then he changed the subject. I wish I'd paid more attention then. I wish I'd trusted my gut instead of my brother. But I didn't, because betrayal doesn't shout. It whispers. And I wasn't listening yet. Not then. The first undeniable sign came on a Tuesday. I'd left work early. Not planned. Just one of those rare slow days where the system didn't crash, no fires to put out. I thought I'd surprise them. Maybe grab dinner on the way home, something nice. Maybe even reconnect with Marissa. We'd both been off lately. When I opened the front door, the house was quiet, too quiet. No TV, no music. But I could hear voices, faint, coming from upstairs. I didn't tiptoe, I wasn't suspicious. Not yet. I just walked, slow, trying not to startle them if they were talking. Then I heard my name. I stopped halfway up the stairs. Marissa's voice, "He has no idea." A pause. Then Nate, "He's not stupid, Riss. Just distracted." That nickname, Riss. No one called her that but me. I backed down the stairs before they heard me. I stood in the kitchen for 10 minutes, pretending I'd just walked in, made some noise, opened the fridge, slammed it shut. They came down a few minutes later, laughing like nothing happened. "Hey," Nate said, "home early." "Yeah," I said, "figured I'd surprise you guys." Marissa walked over, kissed my cheek. "Nice surprise." She smelled like Nate's cologne. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there, listening to her breathe, watching the ceiling, remembering every detail of that stairwell conversation. It wasn't just about secrecy. It was intimacy, familiarity, a language they weren't supposed to share. The next morning, I did something I never thought I would. I went through her phone. She'd forgotten to lock it, or maybe didn't expect me to try. There weren't any obvious messages, nothing in her main apps, but she had a separate folder labeled Work Tools. Inside it, a dummy messaging app. I opened it. The first thing I saw was a thread titled Nate. My heart punched a hole in my chest. I clicked it. Hundreds of messages, pictures, inside jokes, things she never said to me, plans, memories I wasn't a part of, jokes at my expense. Nate. He keeps talking about buying a house in the suburbs. Shoot me. Marissa. LOL, he's obsessed with yard space. I just nod and fantasize about your bed. I couldn't read more. I put the phone down like it was on fire. They were in love, or whatever twisted version of it they convinced themselves it was. I walked into the bathroom, stared at myself in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot, my hands shaking. I wanted to scream, to punch something. But all I could do was whisper over and over, "My brother, my brother." That day I didn't go to work. I didn't tell Marissa what I found. I just watched, observed, took note of every interaction, every inside look, every smirk when they thought I wasn't paying attention. And suddenly I saw it all. The way her tone changed when he walked into the room, the small touches, the shared glances over dinner. How had I missed it? Because I wanted to. Because the alternative, accepting that the two people I loved most had conspired to betray me, was too heavy to carry, until it wasn't a choice anymore. That night I packed a bag. Marissa noticed. "Where are you going?" I looked her in the eye. "Somewhere you and Nate aren't." She blinked. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer. I just walked out. I drove to my friend Caleb's place across town. He opened the door, took one look at me, and said, "Who died?" I laughed, not because it was funny, because it felt true. Something had died, and I wasn't sure it could ever come back. Caleb let me crash on his couch for a few nights. He didn't ask many questions at first, just tossed me a pillow and said, "Whatever it is, man, you don't have to explain tonight." And I didn't. Not that night. I couldn't. The next morning I sat on his porch with a mug of coffee staring into nothing. That's when he pulled up a chair beside me. "You look like hell." I didn't argue. "Want to talk?" I nodded slowly. Then, without ceremony, I said it. "Marissa and Nate are sleeping together." He blinked. "Your brother, Nate?" "Yeah." He stared for a second, like trying to register a foreign language, then shook his head. I always thought there was something weird about the way she looked at him. "Yeah, me too. I just didn't want it to be real." He didn't say I'm sorry. He didn't offer empty comfort. He just sat there with me. And that was enough. That week was a blur. I didn't go back to my house. I didn't return Marissa's calls or answer Nate's text. Yes, he had the audacity to text me. "Nate, bro, we need to talk. You're blowing this out of proportion." Blowing it out of proportion. I wanted to burn the phone. Then, a few days later, Marissa showed up at Caleb's. I was in the garage when she knocked. Caleb came out, unsure. She says she just wants to talk. I told him to let her in. She looked different, pale, eyes puffy. She wasn't wearing makeup, and her voice cracked when she spoke. "Eric, I'm sorry." I didn't say anything. She stepped forward, then seemed to think better of it. "I messed up. I know that. I panicked. Things got blurry. You were always working, and Nate was just there." I raised an eyebrow. "So, this is my fault?" "No," she said quickly. Yes, but not like that. I don't know. I'm not blaming you. I'm trying to explain. Try harder." She started crying, big messy tears, the kind that once would have broken me. But now they felt rehearsed. "I love you," she whispered. I didn't answer. "You don't believe me." "I believe you love what I gave you. Stability, a name, a future. But you don't love me. Not really." She stood there, shaking. "I don't know how to fix this." You don't. We stood in silence for a long time. Then I said it. I want a divorce. She didn't protest. She just nodded. And that hurt more than anything. Not because I wanted her to fight for me, but because she didn't. After she left, I sat in Caleb's driveway for over an hour, just watching the sun sink, wondering how a marriage could fall apart so silently. The next evening, Nate showed up. He didn't knock, just walked into the garage while I was working on an old shelf Caleb had been meaning to fix. "Dude," he said, "you can't avoid me forever." I turned to him slowly. "You have 5 seconds to leave before I put this drill through your face." He froze. Okay, just hear me out. There's nothing you could say. It wasn't supposed to happen like that." "Like what?" "You accidentally tripped and fell into my wife's bed?" He winced. "It was complicated." "No, it wasn't," I snapped. "You were my brother. She was my wife. And you, both of you, chose yourselves. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did." He looked genuinely ashamed. For once, the smirk was gone. "I'll move out. You can have the place. I don't want anything." I shook my head. It was never about the place. He turned to leave, but before he stepped out, he said one last thing. "You were always the better man, Eric. I just didn't want to admit it." And then he was gone. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat on the concrete floor holding a broken shelf, wondering how I'd ever rebuild from here. But I knew I would. I had to. It's strange, the way the world keeps turning after your life collapses. I'd go to the store and see people arguing over the last box of cereal, hear kids laughing outside Caleb's window, watch baristas joke with regulars like nothing in the world could ever go wrong. Meanwhile, my whole sense of reality had cracked open. Not just my marriage, not just my family, but the foundation I thought I'd built my life on. I started seeing a therapist. Caleb had been pushing me to go for weeks. Said I needed more than just beer and late-night garage talks. He wasn't wrong. The therapist, Dr. Chen, was calm, steady, the kind of person who could stare down a wildfire without blinking. I told her everything. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Like laying broken glass on a table, edge by jagged edge. One session, she asked, "What do you think hurt more? That they betrayed you, or that they did it together?" I didn't answer at first. Then finally I said, "That it was him." Marissa and I had problems, sure. We were growing apart. I knew that. But Nate? Nate was supposed to be my blood, my anchor. "Betrayal from a spouse," I said. "That stabs you in the chest. But betrayal from your brother? That's a knife in the spine?" She nodded, wrote something in her notebook. I hated that notebook at first. Now it felt like the only place my story made sense. Eventually, I went back to the house, not to stay, just to collect what was mine. Marissa wasn't there. Good. I didn't want another confrontation. I just wanted my stuff. I walked through the kitchen like a ghost. Every surface held a memory. The chipped mug she always used, the dent in the fridge from that fight over the vacation we canceled, the couch where we binge-watched bad TV and fell asleep on each other's shoulders. I took what I needed, left the rest. As I was packing up some books from the office, I noticed something sticking out of her desk drawer. A notebook, different from the ones she usually used. This one was blue with stickers on the front, things like manifest and new beginnings. Curiosity got the better of me. Inside were pages of journal entries. I didn't want to read them, but I did. She had written about me, about Nate, about herself. I love them both in different ways. Eric grounds me. Nate excites me. I hate myself. If this explodes, it's my fault, and maybe I want it to. I closed the book, slowly, carefully, like if I moved too fast, the words would burn me. I didn't take it. I left it exactly where it was, because I didn't want to carry her confusion anymore. Back at Caleb's, I started looking for my own place, something small, quiet, mine. I signed a lease on a one-bedroom apartment near the lake. Nothing fancy, but it had big windows and hardwood floors and a strange, comforting stillness. The first night there, I slept on the floor with a blanket and a pizza box. And for the first time in months, I slept through the night. No dreams, no dread, just silence. And somehow, that silence felt like peace. It took time to settle into the silence. There were days I hated it, the stillness, the echo of my own breath, the hum of the refrigerator that seemed louder than my thoughts. And there were days when it felt like relief, a clean space, no lies hiding in plain sight, no shared glances behind my back, just me. I bought a new bed, built it myself, piece by piece, late into the night, with music playing in the background. It felt like therapy. Wood, screws, instructions I could actually follow. No emotional traps, no double meanings. And then, about 2 months after I moved in, I saw them, Nate and Marissa, together. I was picking up groceries, just trying to grab some coffee and eggs, when I turned into the frozen aisle, and there they were, laughing, hands intertwined, like nothing had happened. I stopped cold. Nate saw me first. He froze. His smile dropped. Marissa turned, her face falling a half-second later. No one said anything at first. Then Nate tried. "Eric," I raised a hand. "Don't." He shut his mouth. Marissa looked pale. "We weren't trying to live your life," I said flatly. "Just don't do it near mine." And I walked away. My hands were shaking by the time I got to the car. I didn't cry, didn't scream, just sat there with my groceries in the passenger seat, staring at the steering wheel. Seeing them together didn't break me, but it twisted something, like an old wound that never fully healed, suddenly scraped open again. That night, I called my mom. We hadn't really talked about everything. She knew what happened, at least the basics, but we danced around the details. She answered on the third ring. "Eric? Hey, Mom. You got a minute?" "Always. What's going on?" I told her everything, not just about the grocery store, about the notebook, the messages, the way I felt like I was the last person to see what was right in front of him. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Honey, I never liked the way Marissa looked at Nate." My stomach sank. "What?" I thought I was imagining it. "But at the wedding, she didn't look at you during the vows, not really. She kept glancing at him." I told myself it was nerves. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because I thought love would sort itself out. I didn't want to ruin your day or your marriage." I felt sick. Not because she was wrong, but because she'd been right and still stayed silent. "I'm sorry, baby," she said. "I thought I was protecting you, but I see now maybe I should have said something." I didn't blame her, not really. But it added another layer to the pile of what-ifs. Later that night, I found myself scrolling through old photos, Marissa and I on the beach, Nate and I playing cards, birthday dinners, vacations, so many smiles, so many lies baked into those moments, and yet there was something freeing about facing them, like dragging ghosts into daylight. They still haunted away, but at least they were visible. I deleted most of them, not out of spite, out of self-preservation. Because healing isn't about pretending something never happened. It's about accepting that it did, and choosing to move forward anyway. And I was moving. Not fast, but forward. It's been almost a year since everything fell apart. 12 months since I packed my bag, walked out of the home I built, and started over. In that time, I've learned that healing doesn't come in one big wave. It's 1,000 quiet moments, some heavy, some light, stitched together by the choice to keep going. I didn't forgive them. Not in the way people like to talk about forgiveness anyway. I didn't send Nate a text saying we're good. I didn't sit down for closure coffee with Marissa. I didn't write some dramatic Facebook post about letting go. What I did was rebuild my life. I found a new rhythm. I started volunteering with a local community group, tutoring high school kids in basic computer science. Turns out, there's something healing about watching someone else grow, especially when your own growth feels slow. I reconnected with old friends, made new ones, took a weekend trip by myself to the mountains, got lost, got found, sat by a fire and didn't think about either of them for 6 whole hours. That felt like a victory. I saw Nate once more. It wasn't planned. I was at a mutual friend's birthday party. He walked in late, holding a six-pack and wearing that same easy grin he always had. When he saw me, he froze for half a second and then kept moving. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. But you know what? That silence felt louder than anything we could have said. It wasn't hatred. It wasn't bitterness. It was just done. The part of me that used to ache every time his name was mentioned. Quiet now. Marissa reached out once. A short email. No subject line. Just, "I'm sorry. I hope you're doing okay. You didn't deserve what happened. I'll carry that forever." I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, but because I didn't need to. I had already said everything I needed to say. To myself. People talk a lot about betrayal, but they don't talk enough about what comes after. The dull emptiness, the need to redefine every corner of your life. The weird grief of losing someone who's still alive. Of mourning a version of yourself you trusted. And learning to like the man who comes after. I'm starting to like him. He's quieter, more deliberate. He doesn't smile as easily, but when he does, it's real. He doesn't chase people who walk away. He listens more, trusts slower, but he still believes in love. Yeah, after everything, I still believe in it. Not in the way movies show it, not in grand gestures and perfect endings, but in the quiet, steady kind, built on respect, on showing up, on not sleeping with your brother's wife. Funny, right? I laugh more now. Not because everything's okay, but because I survived what wasn't, and I'm still here, still standing, still moving forward. That's enough for me. And one day, maybe soon, maybe not, I'll meet someone new. Not to fill a void, but to share the life I built after the storm, because I know now. The people who truly love you, they don't tear you down to feel stronger. They stand beside you, and they never, ever look at your brother the way she did.